What kind of loyalty refuses to walk away, even when everything is lost? What kind of love chooses uncertainty over comfort and sacrifice over security? The story of Ruth is more than a tale of devotion. It is a story of redemption, of quiet faith in the midst of loss, and of a divine hand working behind the scenes of ordinary lives to shape an extraordinary future. In a time of severe famine in Israel, a man named Elimelech left Bethlehem with his wife Naomi and their 2 sons in search of survival. They journeyed to Moab, a foreign land, hoping to find relief in the hardship they had left behind. There, their sons married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth, and for a time life seemed to settle, but peace did not last. Tragedy struck with a heavy hand. Elimelech died, and in the years that followed, both of Naomi's sons were also taken, leaving her widowed, broken, and alone except for the 2 women who now shared in her loss. Heartbroken and destitute, Naomi heard that the famine in Judah had ended. She decided to return to her homeland. She urged Orpah and Ruth to go back to their own families, where they might find new husbands and a secure future. With tears, they all said their goodbyes. Orpah, after much hesitation, kissed Naomi and returned to her people. But Ruth refused to leave. She clung to Naomi and spoke some of the most beautiful words of loyalty ever recorded. She said, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." Seeing Ruth's unwavering commitment, Naomi stopped urging her, and they traveled on together. The 2 women arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. They had nothing. To provide for them both, Ruth went to glean in the fields, which meant gathering the leftover grain after the harvesters. This was a provision God had made for the poor. By what seemed like a coincidence, but was truly God's guiding hand, Ruth found herself working in a field belonging to a man named Boaz. Boaz was a wealthy and respected man, and as it happened, he was also a relative of Naomi's late husband, Elimelech. When Boaz arrived at his field, he noticed Ruth. He asked his workers who she was, and they told him she was the Moabite woman who had returned with Naomi. Boaz had already heard of Ruth's incredible loyalty to her mother-in-law. Moved by her character and her hard work, he approached her with kindness. He told her to glean only in his fields, to stay close to his female workers, and to drink the water his men had drawn. He even instructed his harvesters to purposely leave behind extra stalks of grain for her to gather. Ruth was overwhelmed by his generosity and bowed before him, asking why he would show such favor to a foreigner like her. Boaz replied that he knew all about her sacrifices for Naomi and prayed that the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings she had come to take refuge, would richly reward her. That evening, Ruth returned to Naomi with a large amount of barley. Naomi was amazed and asked where she had worked. When Ruth told her it was in the field of Boaz, Naomi's hope was rekindled. She exclaimed, "The Lord has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead." She then revealed to Ruth that Boaz was one of their kinsman-redeemers, a close relative who had the responsibility to help a family in need, including marrying a childless widow to carry on the family name. Following Naomi's wise counsel, Ruth approached Boaz at the threshing floor one night. This was a culturally significant act to propose that he fulfill his duty as a kinsman-redeemer. Boaz was deeply impressed by her virtue and her loyalty, not just to Naomi, but to her deceased husband's family line. He praised her, saying all the townspeople knew she was a woman of noble character. He promised to take care of the matter, although he mentioned there was one male relative who was closer in line than he was. The next day, Boaz went to the town gate where legal matters were settled. He met with the other kinsman-redeemer and publicly presented the situation. The other relative was initially interested in buying Naomi's land, but when he learned he would also have to marry Ruth the Moabite to carry on her dead husband's name, he declined. This cleared the way for Boaz. Before all the elders and the people, Boaz declared that he would buy the land and take Ruth as his wife. The people blessed him, praying that their family would be great in Israel. So Boaz and Ruth were married. Their union was a beautiful picture of redemption. Soon, God blessed them with a son named Obed. The women of Bethlehem rejoiced with Naomi, praising God for giving her a grandson who would be a restorer of life and a nourisher in her old age. Naomi, who had left Bethlehem empty and bitter, was now full, holding her grandchild in her arms, her joy completely restored. But the story doesn't end there. The book of Ruth concludes with a short but powerful genealogy. Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse became the father of David, Israel's greatest king. And from King David's line, centuries later, came Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world. A non-Israelite woman from Moab, through her faith and loyalty, was grafted into the very lineage of the Messiah. So what can we learn from this incredible story? First, we see the power of loyalty and faithfulness. Ruth's commitment to Naomi, even when it meant a life of uncertainty, was honored by God in ways she could never have imagined. Her story reminds us that our character and our choices matter. Second, we witness God's providence. Nothing in Ruth's story is a mere coincidence. From arriving in Bethlehem at harvest time to gleaning in Boaz's specific field, God was orchestrating every detail for her good and for his ultimate purpose. It's a beautiful reminder that even when life seems difficult or confusing, God is working behind the scenes. Finally, the story of Ruth is a profound picture of redemption. Boaz, the kinsman-redeemer, buys back the land and gives Ruth a new family and a future. This points us to our ultimate kinsman-redeemer, Jesus Christ, who redeemed us from sin and death, not with silver or gold, but with his own precious blood, welcoming us into the family of God. The story of Ruth shows us that no one is beyond the reach of God's grace. Her journey from being a foreign widow to becoming an ancestor of Jesus is a testament to God's love that crosses all boundaries. Thank you for joining us for this look into the life of Ruth. We hope this story has encouraged and inspired you. For more teachings and stories from the Bible, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Bible Stories and Insight. We'll see you in the next video.